video, we're going to do a 1-year review of this bad boy, the Stihl MS 500i. So it won't be your typical, chainsaw review. We're going to go off stat sheet. We're going to talk about the intangibles. We're going to talk about what makes a tool useful, what makes a tool fun, what makes a tool worth the money. So stay with us, guys, and remember, keep it in the timber.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now.
All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a subscriber, if you're new here, think about hitting that subscribe button. You know what to do. So let's talk about this saw. I can't believe it's been a year already. It seems like I just bought this thing, and you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. And if I had to sum up this saw in one word, or do a review with one word, it would be fun. This saw is really, really fun. And I want to talk about why it's so fun. Okay, so reason number one is something that I don't think anybody ever talks about when they advertise a chainsaw. But for me personally, and I think a lot of you guys out there really appreciate the sound of a good chainsaw. My neighbor, I'm not sure what saw he has, because I don't know him very well, but his saw sounds like a dying animal every time he uses it. This saw, on the other hand, it is amazing, the sound it makes. Now, it's factory. I know some of you guys at port saws, they sound even better, but, straight up stock saw, it's the best sounding chainsaw. If I had to put it into a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the sound of a Harley Davidson or a really good tractor, and 1 being, nails on a chalkboard, I would give this saw an 8 out of 10. It is that cool of a sound. And I'll overlay some, sounds here, and at the end of the video, we'll do some action stuff, and you can hear the sound. But, I think that's an important thing, to have something that sounds really good. Everyone loves a good muscle car, those kinds of things. Sound matters. Okay, number 2. This is sort of on the stat sheet, but I want to just talk about the power of this saw. It is magnificent. It is intoxicating. It is awesome. This saw has so much power. I mean, it's really unprecedented for what it is. You could certainly argue some of the saws that get modified have just as much power. Having a powerful chainsaw is worth every penny it takes to get to that, whether it's stock, buying this one, or, having it modified. Until you actually use a powerful chainsaw, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But it's very similar to a powerful automobile or any other piece of equipment or sharp knife. Power is everything, and this saw certainly has it. You take this saw, you set it on the log, you pull the trigger, and it just cuts. And it doesn't really matter what it's cutting. It doesn't matter how sharp the blade is. You just put it on there and it cuts right through it. So just to put this into context, a lot of you guys have smaller saws and you've used chainsaws, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when you have to manipulate the saw to get it through the log. For whatever reason, it's struggling, maybe it's getting dull, but you have to wiggle it. You have to constantly kind of feather the throttle. You've got to help it through that log, right? You got to, make that cutting surface a little shorter so that it can get its RPMs up. This saw never needs that help. And I think that's what makes it so enjoyable, is that you just take the saw, you put it on the log, and you pull the trigger, and it goes right through it. You don't have to tilt it, wiggle it. You don't have to do all that stuff that takes a lot of extra energy. And if you're cutting through a bunch of logs, that will tire you out. This saw is so fast and so powerful that you actually use a lot less energy. I'll give you a good example. So the other day I was cutting through some logs, and I get my logs from some hunting land, and the logs had some nails in it from a deer stand. I didn't know the nails were there. I hit them full on with the chain. I could feel it, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna have to resharpen. And I decided to kind of test the saw and just keep going through and see what's gonna happen. I got a super dull chain here. It's nicked up really bad. I did notice that it took a lot longer. I wouldn't say a lot longer. It took longer to get through the log, but the RPMs never wavered. Like, it just still spins and gets through the log without a lot of effort. You know, I didn't really want to stop and sharpen. It takes a while to do that, and I was only 2 logs away from finishing the entire pile. So I did push it, and I went through and got the job done, and sharpened the chainsaw when the sun went down. I don't recommend you do that a lot because it'll burn up your bar. But it was nice, I gotta say, it was nice to just count on the horsepower of this saw to get the job done, and then kind of take care of business later with sharpening and maintenance and that kind of thing. If I'd have had to stop, it was getting towards the end of the day, wouldn't have made it through, and it probably would have had to finish up the next day. So again, the power of this saw is worth every penny it takes to get there. It is an awesome chainsaw. Okay, the third thing that makes this thing great is the weight. And you might be thinking, what do you mean? A heavy chainsaw, that's gotta suck. It's gotta be, hard on your arms and tire you out quick. There's kind of this delicate balance, no pun intended, between weight and balance. This saw has tremendous balance, and I did this on purpose, and a lot of you guys kind of teased me when I did the video a year ago. I went with a 20-inch bar, and it is a light bar. And I'll link that video here where I talk about, I show you the balance of the saw and the different bars. So I did standard bars, different lengths. I chose the 20-inch light because, in my opinion, it was the most balanced. There were some other reasons why I chose it too, but this configuration is very balanced. And where that really comes into play is when you're cutting, you set this thing on the log, and like I said, the power helps, but you basically don't need to manipulate the saw very much. The weight of the saw and the balance of the saw just takes it right through the log. And I have a MS 261C. It's a great chainsaw. It's very lightweight, and I would say the balance is not as good as this one. And some of this is horsepower, but I do find myself manipulating that saw as I'm going through a thicker log. And so, I think that the weight is actually an asset here. I don't notice it on a full day of cutting. If I'm in the woods, felling trees and delimbing, this is my preferred saw. My original plan was to delimb with that 261C. I don't do that anymore. This is the only saw I use. That 261C, unfortunately, is a backup. Sometimes if I have a friend over, I'll let them run that saw, but this is my baby, and I like how heavy it is, I like how powerful it is, and I like how it sounds. All right, and then the last thing I just want to talk about, and I've kind of already touched on it, is the speed of this saw. So I'll link another video here where I compare this saw to my 261C. It's twice as fast. It costs twice as much money, but it's twice as fast. And, that speed helps you get the job done faster. It might be stating the obvious, but, you can basically cut twice as much wood in the same amount of time. And I really appreciate that. I'm trying to produce more firewood. I sell firewood. By no means am I a high volume guy, or I'd have probably a wood processor, but for my setup, this saw is awesome because it has eliminated kind of the bottleneck for me. My saws used to be the bottleneck. Then I got this saw. Now it's more about actually getting wood. That's the bottleneck in my process, is harvesting the wood. So anyway, the speed of this saw has really taken that part of the whole process out of the equation. Cutting up my rounds is no longer a problem. I can cut up rounds in a couple hours. I got more than I can deal with. And so I'm just super happy with the speed of this saw. Twice as fast is worth twice the money, in my opinion. So who is this chainsaw really designed for? I think on paper, it's designed for the professional. But I would argue that this is for everybody. So weekend warriors, you're gonna love it. Obviously, if you're a professional logger or you're in the firewood business, you're gonna love it. But if you're looking for a new chainsaw, put this one on your list. I know it's expensive, $1,300, north of $1,300. That's a lot to pay for a chainsaw. But I'm a big fan. All right, great sound, amazing power, good balance, and super fast speed. Those are intangibles that you can't really find on a spec sheet, but they, in my opinion, are what make this saw worth every penny. So if you're thinking about buying this saw and you're hedging on the price, put it on your Christmas list. You will not regret it, I promise. You know, I'm not sponsored by Stihl. I am just a really big fan of this chainsaw. All right, so this wouldn't be a good chainsaw video without a little cutting time. So here's a compilation of me just taking it to the wood and putting this saw in action. So I'll give you a few minutes of that and then we'll wrap things up. Alright, that's going to do it for the MS 500i review. 1 year of use, hopefully many more years. Guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Helps out the channel, helps get this video out to other people. If you're not a subscriber, you know how to do that. Consider doing that. Got some great videos coming up. I got a new tractor coming, and so we're gonna feature that tractor, so stay tuned on that. But thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna end this one. Have fun in the timber, guys. Or what do I always say? Remember, keep it in the timber. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.